Hi, I thought I'd sit here for a change. It feels very strange sitting on a chair in front of a camera. I feel like I'm in a job interview. Is she distracting you? Jenny fucking Schechter, always a nuisance. I think I'm gonna leave her there. We have reached the end of the month, January, the first month of 2023. We've survived. To be honest with you, I have not been having the greatest month. It's not been downright shit, but it's not exactly been great. What I do when I'm sad, apparently, I caught myself doing it this morning. I was sad and I was like, I should go out and do something today. And the only thing I wanted to go and do was buy books. Then I slapped myself on the fingers because I have bought so many books this month. It's embarrassing. I haven't counted them. I should do that now. I can't count in English anymore. That's 15, 5, and there should come in another 6. In my defense, some of these are for school. It wasn't all stress shopping. Some of it was actually necessary. I could just download these. I could get a library card. But oh well, it's January 30th now, so I should really not go out and buy any more books this month. And I can probably promise myself that I actually will not do that. These are the 25... Did I say that right? No, I'm lying. These are the 20 books that I bought this month. No, it was the second Monday of January. I took myself on a date. Most of these are actually from dates with myself. I can really recommend taking yourself on dates every now and then. It's kind of sad, but it is a blast.
Treat yourself.
Someone's got to do it. The first date with myself, I went to a movie and then I went to the bookstore. That was the date with myself. I saw the movie close. I cried my eyeballs out. It was not fun. After that, I was like, I'm going to the bookstore and I'm only going to look at the secondhand section because most of these are secondhand. I try to behave for the most part. I have 2 rules for buying books for myself. The first rule is to only buy books that I think I really want to read, like immediately. Like no bullshit, right? No books that I just want to own for the sake of owning them. I clearly have enough of those. The second rule, to buy secondhand as most as I can, and I love shopping for books secondhand because it's like when you find something that you actually want, I mean, like when you go into a bookstore and it's all new books, of course they're going to have something you like, but when you scour through a secondhand section and then you find something you like, that means you get to keep it. Finders keepers, that's the law, and then you have to buy it because it was fate. Those are my rules, and these are the 15 and then 5 more books that I bought this month. And the first one is a bit of a downer, but like I'm starting at a low point. It doesn't have a dust jacket. It's probably for the best. This is The Delta of Venus by Anais Nin. And I bought this because it was in Fun Home as like one of the early lesbian books that Alison Bechdel read when she was just coming out as a lesbian. So I thought that this was going to be like gay. I was aware that this is erotica. Well, that was all I knew about it. However, what I was not expecting was pedophilia, necrophilia, generally a lot of rape, and very, very not fun things. And I only read 2 stories. 2. And I was like, no, I'm not finishing that. I don't care if it's gay. I don't even need to know if it's gay. I don't want to read her take on lesbianism if that's what she's starting off with. So I'm actually going to unhaul that one soon, but I just don't know what to do with it because I don't want to give that to anyone else. Because like, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. That is not a recommendation. Please don't read that book unless you're really into some fucked up shit. But then I don't want to be friends with you. I'm sorry. Next one I found at the same bookstore. Should I say where the bookstores are? No, because then you'll know where I live. I'll say them if they're not in my hometown. All right. This is James Baldwin's Blues for Mr. Charlie. I have Giovanni's Room in the same edition, so they'll look really cute together once I've read this one. This is a play. I've been wanting to read more plays because they're very easy to read. They're like very quick to read. You know, they're a play, so they shouldn't really last any longer than 2 hours. I figured this was a good place to start. This is the only one that isn't secondhand. It's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I feel like I'm hopping on this train a bit late. The thing is, I want to reread... I was gonna say I want to reread all of Jeanette Winterson's books soon, but I haven't even read all of Jeanette Winterson's books. I want to reread Frankenstein, which is about Frankenstein. No, it's about Mary Shelley writing Frankenstein. So I feel like I should have read this at some point in my life. That's why I got it. It wasn't very expensive, otherwise I probably wouldn't have done it. Then the next week, I took myself on a date to Amsterdam and I went to the Van Gogh Museum because I felt like it. I'd never been there, I figured I should. In Amsterdam, there is this bookstore that is probably my favorite bookstore I've ever been to. I go there every time I'm in Amsterdam because I just have to. It's compulsive at this point. Anyway, it's called the Book Exchange and it's this secondhand bookstore. The concept is used English books. They have many of them. And the selection, honestly, every time I go there, it slaps. First thing I found there was in the LGBT section, and it was All the Things She Said by Daisy Jones, which I have seen around on social media quite a lot, like in the lesbian spheres. And this is like brand new. This is literally new. I don't think this has been read. There's no cracks in the spine. It's mine now. I'm actually going to start reading this today because I'm planning to start reading non-fiction or essays or short stories alongside everything else I'm reading. Fiction. This is the one I'm going to start today. Every time I go to that store, when I'm done scouring the LGBT section, I go to the fiction section. And the first place I go is to the W. You know what I'm doing there. I'm looking for any Jeanette Winston book that I haven't read, and I always find one. Always. They have never let me down. This is The Gap of Time. I'm actually reading this right now. I'm going to finish it today because I'm almost done. This is like the most plot-heavy Jeanette Winston book I have ever read. It's a retelling of The Winter's Tale. Isn't that cool? I didn't know what The Winter's Tale is about, but she explains it in the first chapter. So this is one that I was planning to buy this one new the first time I took myself on a date, but I couldn't find it in the bookstore. And then the next week, I found it in the secondhand bookstore. It was like fate. This is The Friend by Sigrid Nunez. I heard that this is a book about a dog. That's it. I'm in. I don't need to know anything else. The next one I found, I have already read, Open Water by Caleb Nelson Azuma. Jack Edwards rave about this quite a lot, and that's why I was like, oh, instant buy, didn't even look at it. I have already reviewed this. You can find the review on my Instagram. I'm probably also going to talk about it in my January wrap-up. My thoughts on this were conflicted. I don't know. I thought the prose was absolutely stunning, gorgeous, some of the most beautiful stuff I'd ever read, but the story didn't really reel me in. But it was a good book, and I will definitely be checking out this author more in the future. And then I found Human Acts by Han Kang. My edition of The Vegetarian has the first chapter of this book in it. And when I read that, I was like, that actually seems a lot more interesting than The Vegetarian itself. I think this is about terrorism, I'm pretty sure. I think it's a pretty rough, sad story, and I love a sad story. The next one is a book that I have been looking for ages, and not because it's a book that is hard to find. Like, you can buy this literally any bookstore you walk into. It is the first thing you will see. But I wanted to get it secondhand because usually it is also the first thing you see when you enter a secondhand place or one of those cute little libraries out on the street, but I always find the Dutch version and I don't want to read it in Dutch. So I waited until I found it secondhand, and I did this time. Finally, at last, I found The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I just feel like it would be weird to buy this book new. Why would you, when it's everywhere? In the circle of books, at some point in time, it should come across your path. You don't have to buy it new. I'm planning to read this when my next semester starts, which is next week, actually. The perfect time to be reading this book. Then the next week, I didn't have a date with myself, actually. I had an appointment on the other side of the country. Trans Healthcare in the Netherlands. It's... Anyway, so I was across the country. I'm being dramatic. Being across the country in the Netherlands is like a 2-hour train ride at most. I've been to the city before, but I'd never been to the bookstores before. Only one of them was really worth it, and I forgot the name. But it did have a secondhand section. Honestly, these are the most indulgent things I've bought this month. It was 3 for the price of 2, and so I found one, and then I couldn't just. It's the Book Hall of Shame for a reason. I got this book. It's called Crossing the Mangrove by Maryse Condé. I have no idea. She's from Guadeloupe, and this book takes place in Guadeloupe, and I found that interesting. I want to read more books from around the world, and I have never heard of a book from Guadeloupe before, so there we go. And also, I mostly bought this because of the cover, and I'm participating in Sally and Alex's Shake Up Your Shelves challenge, and one of the slots on the bingo card is to read a book that you bought solely because of the cover, and Yes, that's gonna be this one. I mean, look at that. It's so cute. I think it's about murder. We'll see. Another one I got at that place is this one, Flights by, oh no, Olga Tokarczuk. I don't speak Polish. I got this because it's one of these editions. You know the ones, the blue ones. You have eyes. And it won the International Booker Prize, apparently. I've never heard of it, but okay. I'm kind of mad at the person who tried to pull this off. I mean, I know we all hate stickers on the cover, but like, you know there's nothing under the sticker in this case. And also, it's the fucking Booker Prize. Just leave it on, maybe. I read like one tiny piece of this when I was in the bookstore, and I was like, yeah, that hits. I don't know, it was about writing a book, and now I can't find it anymore. Oh yeah, what I also like about this book is that it doesn't just have a map at the start of it, but it has a lot of maps like all the way throughout for some reason. I guess because it's about traveling. Isn't that fun? Let me know if you've read this, because I have never seen anyone talking about this, but I see these editions everywhere and I'm curious about them every time I see them. So, and the third one I bought there, because I had to get 3, is Intimations by Zadie Smith, which I also already read and already reviewed. So if you want to know more, you can look on my Instagram, although I didn't say too much about this because I wasn't like super wowed by it. Sorry. The thing is, I read Open Water. He talks a lot about Zadie Smith and Zadie Smith's writing. Zadie Smith is actually in that book, which is kind of weird. Like she signs the main character's book and they speak. And I always find it so weird when there's... I just realized I'm missing a book. Okay, well, it's right here. Anyway, I find it so weird when there's like famous people in fictional books. Anyway, that's not this book. This is a book of essays. It's 6 essays. It's tiny. They were written mostly during and right before the pandemic started and the lockdown. They were decent. I just thought that her sentences run on just a little bit too long, kind of in the way that Virginia Woolf's do, and I forgot to mention one. Hold on. I got this one at the book exchange. I forgot to mention it because I already read it, and it's Detransition Baby. I remembered it because famous people being mentioned in a book. This book has a whole scene that takes place at the GLAAD Awards for some reason. And Sarah Jessica Parker is there. Also, for some reason, it took me out of it a little bit. That was not the only thing that took me out of this book. I had kind of mixed feelings on this one as well, but I did actually really enjoy it, kind of. More thoughts on that on my Instagram and in my January wrap-up. Then, during my next semester, I will be taking world literature. I got the book list for that last week. To be honest with you, I find this list for world literature pretty fucking embarrassing for my school. They've done pretty okay, like on the diversity front up to this point, and also the class is divided in 2 semesters, so like we get more next year, so hopefully it'll be a bit better then, but for now it's just a lot of white men in different parts of the world. World literature. This is Disgrace by Goethe. I don't know anything about it except for the fact that it's about a sex scandal. Not too excited about that. We're reading The Tempest by William Shakespeare. I don't know, I guess he's like this very underground little guy from this very small part of the world that you might never even have heard of, which is called England. We're reading Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. This cover is fucking hideous. You see these Wordsworth Classics editions, Wordsworth editions, you see them everywhere. They are so fucking ugly. For what? Let me show you, I want to show you the ugliest fucking cover that I own. This is a fucking disgrace. This is Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own and The Voyage Out. And this is the fucking cover? What? Ew. Ugh. Like, why? Anyway, I'm not gonna read that in school, because imagine if we would read something by a woman. Anyways, next one we're gonna read is Candide by Voltaire. Because we haven't read enough old French guys yet. France is also a part of the world. So yeah, I can't be too negative about this one though, because I have been looking forward to this one. For some reason, I don't know why, I think this is supposed to be kind of funny, and I'm here for it. I've been planning to read this anyway, so it's fine. Rip van Winkle. That's a Dutch name. Rip van Winkle. Who the fuck is named Rip though? Washington Irving is his name. I hate it when people have names that could both be last names. Irving Washington would have made more sense. Anyway, we're also reading that. It's actually And Other Stories. I think we're reading one of the other stories. Yeah, we're reading The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. That sounds more like well-known. That's not everything though. We're also reading Notes from on the Ground by Dostoevsky. That's coming in one of these days, hopefully. So we're also reading Russian white guys, because yeah, it's not just Dostoevsky, it's also Tolstoy, The Death of Ivan Ilyich. The other three that I don't have are actually the only ones that aren't written by white guys. One of them is Life of Pi. The other one is... it's on my TBR. It was on my TBR before. The other one is a Primo Levi book. I did go on a shopping trip to try and find those 4 books that I don't have yet. I didn't find them, and obviously I did find other books. One of them is Toni Morrison's Beloved. I've been looking for Toni Morrison books for a long time. I actually found one at the book exchange, but it was so fucking ugly. It was Beloved, but the cover was so extremely ugly that I was like, I can't buy this. I don't want to own this. I found this one. This is just a vintage edition that's been discolored a little bit, so it looks cool. I've heard it's very sad, and like I said, I'm here for that. Next one I found there is a pretty recent release, I think. It's Swimming in the Dark by another Polish name, Tomasz Jedrzejewski. I've heard it's gay, I've heard it's sad. That means I'm in. And the last one I found, Kim Ji-young, born 1982 by Cho Nam-ju. I feel like everyone has talked about this at some point. All the reviews that I see about this book are like, misogyny is real. And I'm like I know that, but still I'm curious. So I will be reading this at some point. I'm pretty sure that was it. Those were 26 books that I very self-indulgently bought for myself for no reason other than I was sad and I have to go to uni. If you like this video, please subscribe. I upload sometimes. Like this video, tell me if you've read any of these books, because I want to know. And stay tuned for my January wrap-up, in which I will talk about some of these books more. I am keeping to my own rule. I'm only buying books that I actually want to read soon, and I have actually read some of them already, so that's pretty cool of me, I think. Have a nice day. Bye!